Well, speaking of supply constraints, GM and Ford, they were also out with earnings earlier this week. Both of those automakers citing supply chain issues, production delays as the companies head into the winter and the holiday season. So for more on that, we want to bring in Arvis Williams, Vice President of Global Quality Manufacturing and Program Management at Borg Warner. And Arvis, it's good to see the auto industry, certainly just one sector there that is grappling with supply chain issues. We've heard this from a number of large companies over the last several weeks during these earnings reports. But what's your assessment just where the auto industry stands? Because right now they are facing massive production delays at a time when many of these large auto giants are shifting to electrification.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for having me today. This supply chain issue driven by semiconductors and quite honestly worsened by the advent of the pandemic that we have been living through for the last 2 years has adversely affected our industry, automotive, but also across industries. There are not too many smart devices in a consumer product line that are not used broadly. So this impact has been quite disruptive across multiple industries.
Arvis, I'm going to do my best to make you blush because this is the first time we've introduced you to our audience, and they should know that not only were you just inducted recently into the Women in Manufacturing Hall of Fame, but that in many ways you are a first in so many ways. You talk about one, being the only girl, youngest of five with five older brothers. You said that you were an engineer by training. It is rare to see women over the last 30 years in manufacturing, let alone African-American women. So it's a pleasure to have you here because your success story is opening the door for so many people. So when you got inducted into the Hall of Fame, what was going through your mind? I mean, here you are in an industry so important to the United States, and we don't get to see people like you that often, and we want to see more people like you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Adam. Yes, I was really honored. This recognition was really for women who have consistently throughout their careers both supported and mentored and sponsored and promoted other women in the industry, as well as other contributions. And I can just tell you that I am extremely honored to be recognized among such an esteemed group of women in manufacturing.
Arvis, what drew you to manufacturing in the first place? It's a male-dominated field. Why did you get into it?
Well, there's a saying that you don't choose manufacturing, manufacturing chooses you. And I must say that was true for me. After undergraduate, I interviewed with General Motors. And when they took me out to the plant floor, just seeing the automation, and this was in the late 80s, the automation, so it's even increased since then, but seeing the level of automation and just the idea of the value that you get from realizing and seeing a vehicle being produced daily was just so gratifying and exciting that they had me at the plant tour. And quite honestly, it was like the wonderment of going to Disney for the first time. And it hooked me in the late 80s. And I have maintained that enthusiasm and excitement every time I walk on a plant floor.
We have on from time to time representatives from the Manufacturers Association talking about the need to recruit young people into manufacturing. How do you do that? Because you talk about the one-on-one experience mentoring women. How do you get more women to go into manufacturing?
Well, it's really an idea of just having the opportunity to expose them. Manufacturing offers you ability to use your degree no matter what your discipline is in every possible role. Quite honestly, the opportunity is endless for women. We are natural problem solvers. We are negotiators. We collaborate. We're consensus builders. And those values and those skills will really serve you well in manufacturing, and it really open up an area to really challenge the status quo.
Arvis, if you had to just share, I guess, one part of your career that was either challenging or difficult and how you navigated that, just to give some more advice to females out there, other young women who hope to be one day or aiming to be in the spot that you're in today, what would you say to them?
Well, I tell them never to give up on their dreams. Early on in high school, when I decided that I had an interest in mechanical engineering, I spoke to my high school counselor, and she told me quite honestly that my math grades were average and that my math skills would not be able to sustain me through the rigor of engineering sciences. And so that was a very defining moment for me. And I could have chosen to given up my dream at that point, but I decided to pursue it. And a lot of that came from the healthy competition and confidence that I established in my household from my parents and my brothers. And I'm happy to say that, 40 plus years later, my career has represented a first woman and first Black candidate to be in every role. But I would advise people never let anyone steal your dream. This is why mentoring is so important to me, because I want to make sure that I am not the last female or Black individual that has chosen STEM as a career choice or manufacturing.
When Shauna was asking you at the beginning of our discussion about supply chain issues, when you look at your resume, General Motors, Toyota, Chrysler, Borg-Warner, Dura Automotive, I've got an old, a Stromberg carburetor that I rebuilt years ago, and the reason it's sitting on the TV credenza and not on a car is my mechanical aptitude is terrible. But you know this industry better than most people. Are you worried about the transformation that's coming down the pike as we go from what we know as manufacturing to electrified vehicles? Because going to be a lot of job loss, isn't there?
Well, I do think there's a lot of opportunity. At Borg-Warner, specifically, we are focused on producing innovative and sustainable products that really support a clean energy efficient world. And we are driving an initiative called Charging Forward, which allows us to accelerate towards electrification with a full commitment to be carbon neutral by 2035.
Arvis Williams of Berg-Warner, thank you so much for joining us.